Okay, it started. No one's here. I sent the invite to Kendare Blake, and we just are waiting for her to join. Oh, guys, I can't wait. Um, Yay. So we're waiting. Ooh, one viewer. Hi. Hello. We're waiting for Kendare Blake to accept the invite I sent her. I'm so excited for this, guys. You're gonna really see me fangirl today. If you have any questions, you can tweet with the hashtag KendarTalk, or you can comment in the chat. I believe it works. So we'll find out. This is my first time doing a live chat. I'm so excited. So this is awkward while we wait, but it takes a while for people to join and for her to get started and stuff, to get the link and everything to the invite. So I'm really excited. I'm currently at school, and this is the other side of my dorm room because I know I usually film behind my bookshelf, but you guys are on my laptop and not on my camera, and I'm so excited. I can't hide it. So, I'm probably gonna sing the link again to her right now, just in case she didn't get it. Um, 3 viewers. Hi. Whoever just joined. We're waiting for Kendare Blake to join the chat with us right now. So I think we're having technical difficulties. So just bear with us. Okay, I sent her another invite. Hopefully it works this time. Yay, she got the last one. I don't know what's happening, but I'm so excited. Oh, I think she's here. Hi.
Hi. Is it working?
Yes, it should be working.
Excellent. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm so excited. This is my first live chat.
Is it? Oh, well, I'm very honored to be your first guest. How long have you had your channel?
I started it in June when I first met you at BookCon. Like, I started it after BookCon.
Like right after that? Excellent. Excellent. Are you going to go to BookCon again this year?
Yes, hopefully. I am waiting until I get an internship at a publishing house, so maybe I could go free because that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to go.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Are you looking at any particular publisher?
Harper and Collins, Children's Publicity, Penguin Random House, and I was too late for the Simon and Schuster one though.
Well, those are all good. So fingers crossed. Hopefully you get one. I'm going to be there too again this year, so maybe I'll see you.
Yay!
Yeah.
You will. I can't wait. So let's start with the questions I made, and then after that we can go to the questions that people put on Twitter and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, it's really bright in here. Like I have a window right behind my head. I'll try to block it with my head.
Okay. So how did you come up with the idea of Three Dark Crowns?
Three Dark Crowns, a beehive. Well, like a bee swarm, so like a ball of bees. I don't know if you've ever seen them when bees swarm together, they just pile on top of each other. And there was a ball of bees at this book event that I was at. It was like stuck to the tree in between me and the hot dog truck, which, you know, was very important that I get to. So luckily there was a beekeeper there because beekeepers just randomly show up places where they're needed, I guess. And she said, you know, don't worry, those bees won't bother you as long as you don't like poke them, because when they're in a ball like that, just 100% made of bees, about yay big, they're protecting their queen, who's deep down inside in the middle, as they move to a different hive. So I found that really interesting because it didn't seem like a convenient way to travel. So I talked to this beekeeper for a long time about, you know, bees and why they would do that, and queen bee behavior. And she told me, amongst other things, that a queen bee will lay 4 to 5 queen eggs when she leaves her hive, and those queen babies hatch out and just kill the crap out of each other until one is left and she gets to take over the old hive. So as I was driving home, I just really wanted to do that to people, and that's when I started working on it.
Well, that's interesting. I never knew that because I'm scared of bees, so I don't really.
Yeah, I'm scared of bees too. Like, I appreciate that they gave me the idea for this book, but I'm still scared of them. I don't hate them or anything, but, you know, getting stung is no fun. Oh, I think you froze. Oh dear.
Oh, see, I thought we froze. I think we're back now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, how did you come up with all the names?
Okay, I missed the middle part of that question. Could you run it one more time?
How did you come up with all the characters' names?
Well, it depends on the character. So, the queens came with their names. They just showed up. You know, okay, hi, I'm Katarina, I'm a poisoner, yada, yada, yada. So, and that's like the sign of a good character to me, is I like it when they show up and introduce themselves so I don't have to think of names, because I hate thinking of names. Jules had her name too. Joseph and Billy, I think, were just, you know, they needed kind of old-timey names, so I couldn't, like, name them Dustin, because that would have sounded weird, you know, or even though I think maybe Dustin is an old name, but it just wasn't, you know, it doesn't have that old sound. So those were just old boys' names. And, like, the minor characters, the characters that you only see for one scene, and they're, like, maybe a server or a fisher, or just something that somebody, maybe, oh, Natalia's butler, like Edmund. I don't know. I just, like, go to a baby name generator. I'm like, Edmund. That sounds like a nice person. I bet he'd be a nice butler, so, you know, that's it. It depends. The bigger a character they are, the more thought usually goes into it.
How do you develop character background?
They just are what they are. Like, I spend about a year and a half thinking about a book and the characters before I start writing. So by the time I actually start writing, I know a fair amount about them. I've hung out with them a lot, you know, spent a lot of time in their heads, heard conversations that they have. So it fills in naturally.
So which character do you love to write the most, like in their perspective?
Hmm. I like I like writing the society of the poisoners because they are very, they're glamorous and they've got a very dark, you know, very elegant aesthetic. And they let me learn a lot about food, which I appreciate doing.
Food is
But
important.
I also enjoy writing about the naturalists because I like writing about like funky little spunky animal characters. I really enjoy that, animals with big personalities. The elementals are probably the hardest because I spent not as much time in the elemental city, so I didn't really get a good look at it until One Dark Throne and that whole mastering wind and lightning thing. I think it's harder for me to relate to than eating stuff and playing with animals.
So who's your favorite queen in the series and why?
Oh, I don't have a favorite. I can't choose favorites. That'd be terrible of me. They're all in the same
I
boat.
feel
Like
like
they're all trying to kill each other. Sucks to be them. I shouldn't choose between them.
that's true. Is it hard to keep up with all like the sisters' point of view in the story?
No, I was surprised. They kind of, you know, whenever one wanted to be there, she was there. They made it pretty easy for me. Um,
Wait, I think your answer got cut off
oh,
with
all right. No, Mirabella was probably the hardest at first because she is the way she is, she's a little bit more reserved. Like she doesn't really have a huge outgoing personality because she's raised to be very prim and proper and very queen-like. So it was hardest to get to know her, I think, because she hid from me a lot. I mean, I think she hid from everybody a lot because she doesn't want anybody to know that she still remembers her sisters and doesn't actually want to kill them. Um, so it wasn't really until One Dark Throne that I got to know her. So getting her to come out of her shell, that was probably the hardest perspective to deal with.
okay. So which cover out of all the books so far, including the novellas, do you like the best?
Oh, that's tough because, I mean, this series has been really lucky with covers. There has not been a single cover that I don't really, really like. Um, well, let's see. Okay, so my favorite of the UK covers, because the UK had three different covers. So my favorite UK cover is probably this one, the snake cover. I love the snake cover.
Oh, I saw that one.
Let's see here. But this cover, which it's all covered up. Hold on, I've got something else. Yeah, like this cover, the one from Taiwan is just awesome because it just looks like a graphic novel, and plus it's got Arseno's bear in there, and he's so cute. Oh, the bear!
Oh, that's so
so
nice.
happy. Yeah, so I really like the covers from Taiwan. I don't know. I love the black and the crowns, and the new U.S. cover for Two Dark Reigns with the scepters, the crossed scepters, is really amazing. I think it's really gonna pop. So I can't really pick a favorite, but I do like any of the covers that have bears on them, and any of the covers that have snakes on them.
Do you like snakes?
Yeah, I mean I don't have snakes, but I like them. Um, yeah, I mean what's not to like? They're just basically just like heads and necks. That's what they are. Cute.
So the queens of Fenborn, I don't know how to say it, and the Oracle Queen come out this on April 3rd. And can you explain both books? Because I know the Queens of Fenborn are the combination of both novels, right?
It's like a bind up of both the novellas, so both of the short stories that I wrote within the world. Which I say short stories, they're actually about 25,000 words long. So put together, they're about 50,000 words, which is like a short novel. So the first one, and this is the UK. edition, which I actually have, and I'm keeping it because it's so pretty. The first part of it is the Young Queens, which tells the story of um, the girls until they're like from like the age of 5 until they're about 12. So it's all the stuff that happened to them, before we see them turning 16 in the start of Three Dark Crowns. And then the Oracle Queen is the story of a queen from the past. And if you've been reading along, there's there's been allusions to if a baby queen is born with the sight gift, they just drown her right away.
Mhm.
So there's a reason for that, and it's that this Oracle Queen, she lost her mind when she was on the throne, and she grew really really paranoid, and she had all these false visions, and it made her just straight up murder like 3 whole houses full of people without a trial, and that's bad. So that's why all of the Oracle Queens are just not allowed to live anymore. So that is her story. This is going to be the Oracle Queen is the story of what exactly happened during that reign and who she was.
Um, so is it gonna connect? Like, is it gonna like come back in the third book into Dark Reigns?
The Oracle Queen?
Mhm.
Nah, I don't think so. It's just another story. Like, this is an island with like tons and tons and tons of queens, and they all have their own story. So, um, the Oracle Queen was just the queen story from history that I most wanted to tell. Having said that, will we see more past queens come to play in Two Dark Reigns? Well, yes, we will. But I'm not going to say who those queens are. It's just not the Oracle Queen. Like, her story is going to pretty much be told by the end of the Oracle Queen. I don't leave any. I don't leave any threads there.
So you have 3 other series besides the Dark Crown. Do you have a different writing process for each series?
Yeah, actually, I have. Not by design. It's just that's the way it worked out. So Anna Dressed in Blood. It was my first novel, so I got to write it without being on contract, and I didn't have an agent, and I was just like writing for fun. So I just wrote whenever I felt like it, and didn't have a set schedule, and did whatever I wanted. So I don't even really remember how long that one took to write. Um, I do know it required far fewer edits and revisions than the other books, so maybe that's a sign. Like I should go back to writing that way. Um, and then with the Anti Goddess series, I mean, it was a trilogy, so I had to start revising a lot heavier. And I actually had to use an outline once I got to the third book because I was paranoid I was going to forget a storyline somehow, or that everything wasn't going to come together the way that I needed it to at the end if I didn't, actually have it sketched out on paper. So that's the first time I used an outline. And then with Three Dark Crowns, I decided to go a completely different way. And that would be I write an entire long crappy draft that's just utter shit, and then I completely rewrite it like 4 or 5 times until it's okay. So yeah,
That's
so
like
writing Three Dark Crowns is like writing 4 books at once. Like it's like I have to write the same book 4 times. It's quite a joy. I'm hoping never to do it again. Honestly.
what is your favorite book to read of all time?
Book to read of all time? Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Just this one's really good. I can just pull stuff off my shelf because I'm like right in front of my bookshelf right now, which is fun. This is Caitlin R. Kiernan's The Red Tree. I know the cover isn't like fantastic and it looks very urban fantasy esque, but it's not. It's a very literary ghost story. It's about this reclusive author who moves into this abandoned house that has a really dark history. Like a bunch of people, its previous owners committed suicide there, and she tries to write, and she has mental problems, mental issues of her own. So you never quite know as she's recounting these things, like, are these things real that she's experiencing, or is she kind of just going stir crazy, being in this old haunted house all by herself? But it's really wonderful. It's very creepy, and the writing is fantastic. So I love all of Caitlin or it might be Caitlin. I don't actually know. I've never met her or heard her introduce herself. I love all of her stuff, so I always recommend picking this up for people who like weird fiction, which I do.
When you were explaining, it reminded me of the On Becoming of Mara Dara by Michelle Hawkins. Because it's
Oh
like,
yeah, unreliable narrators. Yeah,
mhm.
you don't know if it's in their heads or not. That's fun. I like that.
What is your favorite TV show and movie?
Hmm. Of all time, it would be really hard to say. I don't know. I like. I don't know. Like I was really into The Walking Dead for a while, and now it's kind of losing me. I'm really into Game of Thrones. Um, I was really into Buffy when I was growing up, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Love. I used to be really into Sailor Moon when I was growing up. Um, Movies. I don't know. Like I love the Before Sunrise and the Before Sunset movies with Julie Delpy, and Ethan Hawke. Those are really great. I don't know. Last night we watched. No. Yeah, last night we rented something terrible called The Midnight Man, which I love like horror movies, and especially horror movies that are kind of like terrible and hokey. And oh, it was so terrible. So The Midnight Man. Go ahead, watch it. It's terrible. I watched it because they actually played Freddy Krueger was in it, and I love him. I love Freddy Krueger. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies are probably my favorite horror movies from back in the day. But it was just not good.
Um, did you like writing more series more than the other?
No, no. I mean, I would never choose a favorite out of my series. I guess if I'm being honest, um, it's harder to write the Three Dark Crown series just because I've had to write it so many times. Like I'm not used to writing complete books over and over again. And the cast of characters is bigger, and the world is bigger. This is the first time that I've ever created a fantasy world from scratch, so everything is just larger in scope. So I would say it's definitely the most challenging. But I mean, in a way that makes it both my favorite and my least favorite because it really pushes me, but it's still really hard.
What is your favorite part of writing a book?
The beginning and the
Yeah.
end, like the beginning and the end. The middle really sucks. Like I don't like the middle. It takes me about, if I'm left to my own devices, I like at least 6 months to write a book. So if you think about it, like I've been working on a book for 3 months and then I stop and I'm tired and I think that I've got 3 more months of doing the same book. So when you're in the middle there, it's that's my least favorite part. Not necessarily because I don't like what happening in the story. It's just at that point I'm very tired and I would like to not do it anymore.
What's your favorite part of being an author?
Um, Everything. I mean, being an author is fantastic. I've been a lifelong reader, so just having the opportunity to do this for a living is great. There are also a lot of perks, like meeting readers is fantastic. Getting to hang out with librarians who are way cooler now than they were when I was a kid. I don't know if you've noticed this, but librarians are a whole other ballgame now. So that is very, that's wonderful. And getting to do stuff like this and just chat with readers and bloggers and booktubers and stuff.
I remember the first time I realized that if I go on Twitter and tweet authors, that they would respond to me. And I was like a freshman, and I was like, "Oh my god, she actually responded."
Yeah, yeah. When I was, you know, growing up, that was not even an option, and I would never have even like thought to write a letter, like a fan letter, to one of my favorite writers, and think they would ever even read it, let alone write me back. So yeah, it's a lot more. We have a lot more access to readers and get to do a lot more fun things with them today, I think.
Is there a cat behind you?
A cat?
Because I thought I saw her.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Tyrion Canister. Here, just a second. Tyrion cat.
Aww. She's a Siamese cat.
Yeah, my office is like a mess. We're in the midst of kind of moving, so he's having fun jumping in and out of all the boxes.
Aww, he's so cute.
He's very sweet.
And then my last question that I came up with is, do you have any advice for future writers?
Well, it's tough because, like, if a writer contacts me and they ask something specific, I like to give very specific advice. But blanket writing advice is really tough because I'm a big believer in that, everybody's different and you have to find your own way. So maybe that is my advice. The advice to give today is don't really, don't feel like you have to do it a different way. Don't feel like you have to churn out 5,000 words a day or you're not a real writer. If you get, I know writers that spend 8 hours in a chair and those are 200 words. And as long as they're 200 good words, that's good enough, So just find a way and keep at it until you figure out what works for you best. And you never know, you might be like me and end up with a different process every single time. So yeah, that's my advice. It's just what was that advice? Follow no advice and do your own thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's great advice, though. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the Twitter and see if what people have asked. SK Matt said, "How did you come up with the idea of poisoning?"
Of the poisoners? That was easy. As soon as I figured out that I was going to have, 3 different queens trying to kill each other, I knew one of them would be a poisoner. I've always wanted to work with poison in books, and I could never figure out how to do it. I love those old, those old lore stories about, like, Queen Elizabeth and the poisoned dress and all of the, popes just trying to poison each other with, like, Cantabella and stuff. So I knew I wanted to work with poisons, and then just one thing kind of led to another, like, oh, maybe it's an entire society of people who like to poison people, and then that just naturally led into, and what if they really love poisons to the point of, that's their gift, like, they can eat all the poison that they want, and they never get sick, and yeah. So I don't exactly remember, but that is the original why.
The same person asks, did you always view the series as 4 books, or did you think that it was a duology and then realize that you needed more books to tell the story?
No, it was originally a duo, so it was supposed to end with One Dark Throne, and I would have been fine, like that. The ending of One Dark Throne is unchanged. That's exactly how it would have always ended. So and I would have been fine with that because that ending is like, possibilities. And then when we decided to do 2 more books, it was just that I knew that, well, it was bittersweet because at the end of One Dark Throne, anything can happen. And now we're going to know what happens. So if you liked the ending of One Dark Throne and you had all these hopes and possibilities for these queens, I mean, crap. Because now I know what happens after that. So no, I didn't always know it was going to be 4 books. I mean, I knew that there was stuff that happens after the end of One Dark Throne. I don't think that any of our stories really end unless we finish a book by blowing up the world. I mean, unless everybody is dead, like everybody down to the last grasshopper, then something else is still happening in that world. There's just a point at which we stop telling it. So I just decided to tell a little more.
I like that. Same. But I always like to know what happens. Like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there'll still be questions, because spoiler alert, I'm not going to end the 4th book by blowing up the island. I promise. I will not blow the island up. So there will be survivors. So there will still be, like, stuff happening there. It's just, yeah, it'll just be another place to stop telling.
K.S. Greco asks, as a YA fiction becomes more popular with adults, do you see yourself adding new or different dimensions to your plot or characters for your adult audience?
No, I never really think much about audience when I'm writing, period. You know, I just let the story do what it's going to want to do. Um, I think my stories might change as I myself get older, just and not only older in age, but as I age as a writer. I think there are going to be, more things that I want to do, different challenges that I want to undertake. Because I mean, I don't just as a, as a writer, as an artist, you don't want to just. I mean, at least I don't want to just stay and do things that I've already done before. So um, my work might change. It's already gotten, I think, a little bit more complex, and I moved from horror to mythology to fantasy, and I'm probably going to go back and forth within those, but it's not in response to any kind of audience.
The same person asks, wait, can you compare the writing process for a book that is part of a series with the writing process for a standalone book?
Ah, well, I mean, the writing process for a series, I think it's different if you're a plotter or a pantser. So if you know all the beats of your series before you start, um, and you know how everything's going to turn out, then it's a different experience than if you're like me, who really doesn't know how your series is going to turn out. I didn't know who was going to win the crown until I was midway through writing One Dark Throne, like around the 200-page mark. I was like, holy crap, she's going to get it! But I didn't know before then. Um, but that's kind of the same way I am with my standalones. I never really know 100% what way the story's going to go. So I suppose my process is really similar, just across the board as far as that. I don't think it changes much from standalone to series.
SK Matt said, what are some of the biggest differences from the first draft compared to the final draft of book one and or book two?
Oh, well, let's see. My first draft of book one started when they were 6, so that didn't happen. Now it starts when they're 16, or when they're the night that they're turning 16. Um, the first draft of book one was really terrible, and so the final draft I hope is not terrible. Um, I don't. Oh God, it's been so long now. I'm in the middle of finishing up book 3, so I don't exactly remember the big changes. Let me see if I remember more for One Dark Throne. Oh, somebody lived in the first draft who ended up dying, but I can't say who without spoiling a bunch of stuff. So, but just know that 2 of those people that died originally weren't going to die, and then in the next draft they totally died. Um, yeah, yeah, and I would say in One Dark Throne that was probably the biggest changes, was the survivor list was modified.
SK Matt also said, what can we expect from the third book?
Well, I mean, expect to find out what everybody's up to. All the favorites will be back unless they're dead, and I mean, I don't want to say much without, I don't want to spoil some stuff, but I mean, everybody's got their own agenda and everybody's got their own path that they think they're on, and all of these paths are bound to converge, and it's not going to go the way that many of them hope.
So SK Matt also said, what's your favorite fan experience?
I don't know. Most recently, there was a little boy who came to see me when I was at BookCon last year, and he brought me he was really young, this really young boy, which I don't have a lot of really young boy readers, and he was so excited, and it was so really great to meet him. And he brought me chocolates with my book covers printed on them. And anybody who brings me chocolate is like automatically my favorite. And he brought me like 4 of them, each with a different book cover, and said I could keep them. And it was,
That's so
so that was
sweet.
really cool. Yeah.
Ron Wesley said, "Is anything exciting going to happen with Catherine in the next book?"
I hope so. Because she's a major factor in the next book, considering what happened to her at the end of One Dark Throne. So I hope it's exciting. I hope it's not boring. But yeah, I mean, she has an entire storyline. She is one of the leads. So yeah, lots of stuff going on with her.
I didn't expect what happened to One Dark Throne to happen. I thought they were all just to come together and then overthrow the people who are trying to make them kill each other and be happy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the ending of One Dark Throne was about as happy an ending as you get on this island. So, whatever that means for the future of the series, we'll have to see.
So that's all the fan questions that we got. And I don't have any.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me on the channel.
Thank you for accepting my invite. I'm so happy.
Do you have anything else coming up on the channel that people should watch out for?
Well, I am gonna post what I'm waiting for this month for, which is what I talk about what book I'm excited that's coming out that month.
Okay.
The last one I did when Young Queens came out, that was part of that video.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I still didn't get it yet, so I need to get it so I can read it. And then on April 3rd, the Queen of Fire comes out, so you guys should get that because I know I am, so then I can get both books.
Yeah, although, so then if you get the Queens of Fenburn, you don't need to get the Young Queens because it's in there. So, yay!
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait to read it.
Well, I hope you enjoy. Well, that is very cool. So do you do a lot of these, do you post a lot of videos?
I try to, but right now it's about to be finals soon, and I had to get everything together because I am a sophomore in college. And so it's like hard to read and then do reviews, and that's why I haven't done the 3 Dark Crowns and 1 Dark Throne review yet, because I'm just trying to get time to do everything. Because I read it and it was amazing, and my role was broken for like the week.
Well, thank you. I am impressed by anybody who manages to do all of their college work and read for fun. Like, that is amazing. When I was in college, I didn't want to look at a single written word because I had to read so many textbooks, Like, there's just so much reading to do. So it's really awesome that you managed to do all of that and still be part of the book community. So
I try. I feel like I should be involved more, and I feel bad when I don't. I feel so guilty.
No, you got to just do what you want to do. If it's not fun, it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, and hopefully, I'll see you at BookCon this year.
Yes, you will. I can't wait.
Okay.
Bye. Bye, guys, everyone else who's watching.
Okay. Bye.